GERO 200. All right, so it's the time for the second lecture for this week, and we are flying through this class, which is awesome. All right, so let's go right in there and get going. All right, so we have already done essentially, if this was a real semester, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks of instruction. All right. All right, so this is the, as you can see, June 29th, June 29th. So this is the second assignment for this week. All right. My lecture is going to go right in here. Okay. And so in the prior week, we were just kind of looking really more, again, at the kind of uh, world country-based economic challenges that are being faced because of aging populations and taking into consideration the something that we dealt with our CT2, the enormous cost or slash burden of healthcare costs, and then also so many different countries have government-based pensions. Okay, we're going to read an article right now that kind of differentiates between. Some people don't even like to call them pensions. Pensions. Um, Let me backpedal. Pensions are traditionally viewed as something that a government facility produces. A long time ago, private corporation provided pensions. A pension is like, this is a guaranteed amount of money you're going to get, okay? And you don't put any money in to the pension pool. It's just what the government puts out, okay? We all put it in, okay, through tax dollars when it's government based, okay? And then it gets redistributed to government workers, which kind of sucks if you're not a government worker. Um, Large corporations used to do this as well, and they stopped doing it because people were living too long. They didn't want to guarantee anything. So then they incentivize um, what's called a defined contribution, where you contribute to your own well-being. Okay. Um, Sometimes you'll see in this article they refer to it as a defined contribution pension, but it's kind of splitting hairs. All right, where are we at here? So we need to look at the individuals now. So we're gonna grow. Okay, like I said, we kind of looked at global implications, really at the society level, and how we're going to finance this. We brought in the cost of caregiving, all these kinds of things. And now we're going to go right into this article here. Now I've already clicked on it and downloaded it. There's a fancy way to read through it using this right here if you wish, but and I'm just going to go to chapter 3, economic preparation for retirement. All right, so we're going to go right in here. So this is the PDF file. Okay, if I scroll down here, okay, it tells me that chapter 3 um, is page 50. All right. All right. So and then we're going to look at both the topics that are raised in 50 and 57. Right. So with this, I can go click right there. It's going to take me right up to this first part of the article. You can see here. There it is right there. Okay. All right. So economic preparation for retirement. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow this up a little bit so we can see it. Okay. All right. And okay, so this was a giant study. Let's go right back up here. Um, Composed with a bunch of politicians, economists, and academics like myself. It's called the Health and Retirement Studies. They call it HRS all throughout. Okay, just to let you know. So, um, and every once in a while there'll be a reboot on this. Okay, so this was the most recent one. It's pretty cool. Like I said, so I'm gonna go back down here to where I was at, and they talk a lot of things. We're just honing in on this. Okay, all right. So let's go right here. All right, where are we now? Okay, the economic preparation for retirement, and then I'm going to coach you. Okay, after subsequent to this, on investment strategies. Now, a lot of you guys are going to become financial planners, investment strategists, okay, money managers, all these different kind of titles, okay. And so, what's good for you is I would really grab hold of this article, and you create your own kind of marketing um, portfolio, All right. And what I'm talking about is setting up spreadsheets, okay, so that people can project what their personal costs are, how much money they need to save based on these projections and the like. Because this is the kind of stuff that you will do. You're going to have clients and they're going to be looking for advice. Okay. All righty. So, the common question you see it on TV all the time. What's my ideal retirement scenario? All right. Do I have sufficient funds, economic resources, okay, to maintain my life? All right, and maybe even improve my lifestyle compared to what I was doing in my working years. So hopefully, you won't be in the grind and it's all about traveling and this kind of stuff. Anyways, all right. So that's what this HRS study is all about. Okay, a big group of people, and they're just kind of going through what's going on. Okay, and so you want to sit down with your client. Okay, let's see what your readiness is in terms of your personal economy for retirement. Okay, and a lot of it has to do with these stages of your life cycle. You're accumulating wealth while you're working, like I am right now. Okay, and later on in life, then you're going to be drawing down that wealth during retirement. Okay, and my goal is not to draw down all my money. That would be not fair. I would love to um, pass on some of my wealth that I've accrued to my beneficiaries, and I'm sure you feel the same way. And that would be to my children, and maybe someday if it happens to my grandchildren. All right. So this is the kind of planning, that I have. And you adjust your lifestyle accordingly. Okay. So for the most part, people are fairly well prepared, but we're going to see that when you say well prepared, you have to understand that yeah, everybody has different means and everybody has different expectations. Okay, so some people that are make minimum wage, okay, um, that don't have a lot of savings, they're looking at their Social Security to maintain that minimum wage type lifestyle. Obviously, you can look around. I have higher expectations. Okay, all right. So what do we have here? So we have Social Security, okay? And again, this is means based. So and what that means is for some people, Social Security is going to be a replacement for what they have been earning. For me, it would be such a small fraction. I wouldn't. There's no way I would be able to maintain my lifestyle. Okay. Um, um, that being said, basic costs are the same for me compared to somebody else, but all they have is Social Security. And we're going to go over this in the discussion this week. We talked about the enormous cost of healthcare coverage that rises and rises and rises as you get older, premiums and stuff like that. And so we saw that one example, that poor woman, um, that when it was all said and done, she had $240 a month to live on. Okay, so Social Security is good for some, but not for others. Okay, we have pensions. Okay, so like I said, this could be a government-based pension. So if you're a fireman, a policeman, you work for the city, you're a congressman, you're the president, all these people that work for federal, state, local governments, they get this boondoggle called a pension. God bless them. It's awesome. I'm constantly trying to push my oldest son to get a government job because of this. Okay. Um, so that's one type. It's a guaranteed pension. And the other one is, like I said, is what's called a defined contribution, where I take money out of my paycheck every month and I put it into my 401k. Okay. And it then gets taken out of what my annual income is in terms of my annual taxation, and then it gets taxed when I spend it. And then the idea being that when I'm spending money in my 70s, it's highly unlikely that it would be the same amount of money that I'm earning right now in my 60s. Okay, and so it'll be taxed at a much lower rate. And that's why it's tax deferred. And this is why we want you to do this. Okay. Um, anyways, okay. So there's lots of incentives. We're going to go over that in detail next week. Okay. with my 401k. If you get lucky, it'd be awesome to have when you take your money out of your paycheck and you put it in. Sometimes corporations will match you. So USC had a really, really generous matching plan where I would take 5% of my 9 month salary, okay, and then USC actually matched it 2 to 1, okay, and so this was like an extra amount of earnings. Sadly, during this COVID-19, due to corporate losses, that's something that's probably going to be taken away from us beginning January 1. And then, when USC makes its way back, as the rest of the world makes its way back financially, we keep our fingers crossed that they reinstate. It's easy to take away. Sometimes it's really difficult to reinstate. Okay, what else do we have? We have private savings. Okay, so this could be my own individual retirement account. We're going to learn about they're called IRAs or Roth IRAs. Um, it's also I have savings in a sense in this house. Okay, that I owe $250,000 on my house. Sounds like a lot of money, but it's now worth 1.5 million. So that is a huge asset that I could easily tap into as needed. All right, so 1, 2, 3. And this is called the three-legged stool. And these savings can take on lots of different directions. Okay. Um, I could have a lot of money invested in art. I could have a lot of money invested in anything. Okay. That's something that you tap into. All right. All right. All right. So you take all these sources of income. Okay. And this defines whether or not I have a secure foundation um, for my retirement. Okay. All right. In reality, no one is supposed to be the source. You should have this balanced kind of portfolio, okay, diversify. And then we're going to talk about next week when we look at my defined contribution, okay, my 401k or your individual retirement accounts. Again, the key is diversification. We're going to talk about bundled equities versus private equities, and private equities are kind of high risk. Okay, so we'll get into that later on. All right, so when you're sitting down with your client, okay, and look at all these monies, okay, you're going to say, okay, when you retire, this is your goal, okay. So you should be able to. So you're going to project. You retire at 70, and you're going to project to live to 95, which is a reality for many of us. So your replacement income, you should be looking to be spending between 70 and 85% of what you're doing right now. Okay, all right. So that's the reality on that. All righty. So that's something that you would plan out. Okay. So you're going to sit down and you have to kind of determine the adequacy with your clients. Let's go through all the different things that you're going to do. And it again it talks a little bit about differences across the population. These right here are sounds enormous, okay, but so much of it is really is housing. And so the difficulty with housing is you start tapping into it. Rent costs more than a mortgage nowadays. So this is not something you really want to. You can do a reverse mortgage. You can take out home equity lines of credit to get money from your house, but there's a risk in that. So they talk about the distributions here. I just want to scroll down here and this is the kind of spreadsheet analysis you're going to do. Okay. Looking at your consumption and activities. Okay. So you could set up something very similar to this as they've talked about it. And so, to maintain your life, right? So, I'm still going to be paying my mortgage when I hit 70, even 72. So that's an expense that I have to count. So these are home-related expenses. My property taxes, I do not want my home taken away from me by the state of California, and they will if you don't pay your taxes. So you got to put that in, okay? My home insurance, okay, on and on and on and on and on and on. Okay, food expenses, okay. We've realized now during the pandemic that we can markedly reduce our food expenses by making our own food and not going out to eat. Okay, alcoholic beverages, same drill. There's no bigger markup on alcohol than going out to a restaurant and buying a drink. Glass of wine, let's say I have a bottle of wine here that costs me $10. That same bottle of wine is going to cost me $70 in a restaurant. Okay. just for the thrill of hanging out with people. All right. We now learned that this one is a biggie, right? And it is age related. You're going to have a lot more costs um, per individual that you have to account for in your spreadsheet for health related expenses. Okay. And you as a money manager, you as a financial planner can illustrate to your clients typical healthcare costs. Remember the number one being the insurance premium from your CT two, and then the ancillary costs, dental care, all these different things that you're going to have to do. So we it's all listed right here. Transportation, all right? So I'm less likely to having to be commuting from Laguna Niguel to USC. So I'm going to have that reduced cost, okay, of that, okay? I'm still going to have a car payment, okay? Um, and then I might have transportation slash other expenses if I start traveling, okay? Clothing, that should be reduced, okay, when I stop working. Remember my wife, Julia, okay, she used to be an attorney, um, still is an attorney, used to be an attorney that worked in a large corporation. So she was managing counsel for a, 11,000 employee corporation. And, back then, it seems like forever. So that was, I'm thinking 16 years ago. She had to wear a suit. She had to have multiple suits. Right? So she had to purchase the suits, and then she had the dry cleaning and all that kind of stuff. Right? So she, it's part of the drill. Entertainment, right? Hopefully this part of my budget will go up, but not necessarily so. It all depends on your limitations that you have physically and things like that. So I used to travel the world surfing, and that was awesome. But Father Time catches up to me, so I'm much more less likely to be doing that. All right, so this is a spreadsheet that you will all put together. Okay. Like I said, you have to have a huge focus on out-of-pocket medical, all right? Because it's just something. It is our reality. It's something that you kind of expect that you have to do. All right. All right. All right. So we're gonna look at our composition of wealth. All right. So they kind of get into this right over here. Okay. And they talk about, first of all, we have Social Security. Okay. All right. We have a defined benefit. That's what DB stands for. All right. There it is, defined benefit pensions. Okay. All righty. So broke it down into two. There's a government-based pension, and there's one that defined contribution that I'm going to putting in. Okay. Um, this is money, the contribution, defined contribution benefit that you have flexibility. You can liquidate it. There's penalties, if you go after it too early, okay, and the rate at which you go after it, okay, but it is a liquid asset that you can go after during emergencies. And then you have these things called annuities. So it says non-annuitized wealth, okay. So annuities are insurance policies, and once you what it does, it gives you guaranteed stream of income, but you can't get your money back. Okay, and so these are dangerous and a lot of fees. All right, I wouldn't do that. Okay, um, financial assets. Okay, let's say I have multiple rental homes. I have art. Whatever it is I'm investing in. Maybe I um, own some corporate real estate. Okay, that kind of stuff. Um, Personal retirement accounts. These are my individual retirement accounts, my IRAs, and we're going to go over those. Okay, and then I have, of course, housing and other real estate. All right, so these are all my composition of my wealth. Okay, all righty. We see that home equity accounts for a chunk of wealth, especially in California, New York, Florida, places that are really expensive. Okay, and not it all is related to home ownership. Okay, all righty. So then what we're going to look is that just because of changing times, and it goes over here in the article, we see how many people are in the workforce. Okay. All right. So we're again looking at this age group in this little table, 51 to 56. Okay. Um, we see that the percentage of people went up slightly, and now even more so. The longer lived people are, the more you're going to retire, and there's a benefit to that. First of all, you have earned income. There is it gives you fulfillment and a reason to live. Okay, and you can also, as we see later on, tap into Social Security later, which is there's a huge financial incentive for doing it later versus earlier. Okay, all right. We see that women go up in the workforce and men tend to go down. Right, that is the tendency. All right. Um, and it has a lot to do with gender roles and things like that. Women oftentimes will take time off and raise children. It is what it is. Not that it's an absolute. Okay, men can do that too, but there's a bias there. Okay, and then they get back in the workforce. Okay, all righty. The percent working full time. Again, you see this gender difference. Okay, and then this is because of the gender differences. You see this really huge inequity in terms of Social Security earnings. Okay, and it's really unfair. You see, it goes up for men right here from 45 to 55. It goes up for women, but they're starting from such a low place. Again, these are on average analysis. Okay, alrighty. Okay. Women don't have access to retirement accounts as early. Okay. This gets in here to these type of retirement accounts that we're talking about. Again, because women tend to be burdened with childcare. And that's what this is all about. Okay. Here, we're looking at this concept of investment. Okay. Compounding your money by getting a large return. Okay. If I invest $100 and I get an 8% return at the end of that per year, at the end of the year, it's 108, and then it's 8% times 108, and then it just compounds every year, okay, which is good, okay. So we're looking at the different types of plans that people have as retirees, okay. So like I said, there's a defined benefit, okay, that really reflects government, police, large corporations used to do it, and now we're converting to a defined contribution. This is where I take my own money and I invest it now and pay taxes later. It reduces my taxable income now, and then when I tap into it, since I'll be spending at a lower level, it'll be taxed at a lower level. So there's a financial incentive to that, right? That's what that's all about. Okay. All righty. So I want to get down here into this is the concept of compounding, okay, that you can read a real quick financial literacy thing. And this is the kind of thing that, again, when you guys are financial planners and you're sitting down with a client, you can have a calculator, okay, that demonstrates this compounding effect. And that's what this is all about right here, okay. This gets into what I was talking about. You buy bundles called mutual funds versus individual stocks. It's very risky to do an individual stock. Sometimes it works out, like Apple freaking took off, okay, recently. But what if Apple crashes and burns, okay? What if you invested all of your money in Pure One, okay? You'd be in trouble right now. So that's why you diversified into mutual funds that are thousands of companies that are in the same category. All right. Okay. 401k is this employer incentive. It doesn't mean that you don't have to do, they don't twist your arm, okay? But God, what a loss I would have if I didn't put in my 5% in USD, do my 2-to-1 match, okay? All righty. So this shows you where we are as a society here in our country, okay? And I'll just go up here, I think, okay? And we're looking at the relative participation in different pension plans. All right, so we can look at both. Red here is the defined benefit. All right, so that would be government-based or a large company. My friend works for UPS, and he actually still gets that defined benefit pension, and he gets the opportunity to do defined contribution, which is the yellow one, where he takes his own money and invests it. All right, God bless him. When we look overall, okay, we add this to this, and this is how much of our society has any type of retirement income waiting for them, separate from, say, a savings account. And you see it's at a pretty low level, right? It's roughly around 30%, okay? And it's been kind of steady for a long time, right? When this last study was done. I'm counting on a new study coming out real soon, okay? We see also the tendency towards companies getting rid of this RED, which is the defined benefit, where it's a guaranteed income the rest of your life. Okay, so it could be like a police officer could be 90% of what they're earning when they retire at 55. You know, that's a huge burden, right, to governments, and so you got to pay more tax dollars to pay their um, their pension. You know, police officers, I don't care. You know, um, firefighters, it's all good. And we start getting up into Congress and like, really? Do we have to pay you that kind of money? You only serve 2 terms, all right? Yeah, that's a whole different ballgame in terms of politics. Alrighty. And you see this surge in defined contribution. That's where I'm doing it. And we're going to talk about big time incentives that exist out there. All right. The last part of this article starts talking about the benefits of being married versus single, singles versus couples, green couples, singles here. All right. Now we can just look across the board at measures of income. So total income. And we see that when you are married, you have a much greater income, okay, than if you're single. All right. So that would be income is my wage, okay, what USA pays me to do this for you guys, okay. Then I look at my total wealth, okay. Again, as a married couple, we were much stronger. We had 2 jobs, okay. We then qualified to buy a home together. That then that house grew in value, okay? So I have a lot of equity in my home. Equity just means money that I can grab hold of, okay? Um, and you really have a big benefit by being married, and we can see that right here, married, single, all right? Alrighty. If we look at total spending, okay, you see that the difference kind of disappears a little bit, okay, married versus single, right? So something to think about there. Still differences there. All right. So that's where we're at with that. So that's a pretty cool article that you can put in your back pocket and follow these people because they're going to come out with a new one when you are starting to sit down as a financial advisor, right? A lot of you are going to do this, and it's a real good kind of opening job if you're a business major or economics major. Okay. I just put this out there. We put this out there for spring because a lot of people were in a real tough condition. Okay, this is the CARES Act. Okay, this site is a good site, the National Academy of Social Insurance, and it goes into a lot of details of what you need to do, who's going to receive payments, how much they're going to receive, on and on and on and on and on. So really cool site for that if you find yourself that you're having trouble in terms of paying rent. Paying the mortgage, making ends meet. This is, the government kicked in and take advantage of it. All right. Open your quiz, okay, and then we get into our discussion down here. And discussion. So we did this discussion based on looking at Medicare. Now, what this article does, and it's really long, so you just pick and choose on this, but you'll get a feel from it if you go into this article that what it does is it's looking at society and people where Social Security is all they got, all right, and or different, all right. So we're looking at again, remember we had that out-of-pocket expenditures that we talked about with healthcare costs for Medicare, your premium, and then all the different little, drugs and dental work and prostheses and walkers, wheelchairs, all that kind of stuff. Okay, these are all, costs. Okay, and then we look what we're looking at with the 41% of average per capita Social Security income. Okay, right here. Okay, so average per capita Social Security benefit in 2013 was $13,000. Okay, all right, that's nothing. All right, when you look at the healthcare costs, all right, that took up annually 40% of that 13,000. Okay, that's across the board in the United States. I think you got what I meant in the end there. All right, so we can look at different components. Okay, so Part D and Part B. All right, so primary drug coverage. Okay, total healthcare costs, okay? Again, as a percentage of this base Social Security. So if you're just living on Social Security, you see, and then you tack on rent, you got nothing. You got nothing, right? This is an incentive for you guys to get a good job and work. And so they go through this, okay, over and over. And I just want you to just kind of look through these different figures. A lot of figures in this thing, but it's very, very, very useful in terms of understanding what's going on. All right, cool. So that's kind of a base up, and then these are real easy videos that explain the Social Security system to you. Okay, I like this one right here because this is why it pays to wait. Okay, and you come over here and you turn this sucker on.
Thinking about retirement?
I'm gonna get
Here's an important question.
Here we go.
After your full retirement age, benefits are higher. Waiting even a year or two helps. Let's look at an example. Let's say your full retirement age is 66 and you've earned a monthly benefit of $1,000. If you take Social Security early at 62, your benefit will be $750. But if you wait until 70, your benefit will be $1,320. Waiting.
So you can see that's a 25% reduction if you retire at 62. And these are because of actuarial tables. Okay, the government says, okay, fine, you're going to take your money earlier. You know what? That means we're going to pay you longer. We estimate you're going to die by, let's say, 85 years of age. All right, to make everything even, you're going to get less. All right. So it gives you an incentive to work longer. And if you feel like, hey, I got longevity in my family, my mom lives 95, my dad lived to his 87, and he smoked cigarettes like no tomorrow. Okay, so maybe I'm a little protected. So I'm going to put it off and wait till I'm 70. And so you see 25% reduction, roughly a 30% increase by waiting till 72. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, watch that one. Watch the first one. Watch this one. It explains everything. And then what we want you to do is we want you to can really just kind of discuss what's going on with Social Security system. Is it adequate? So this is the original prompt right here. Okay. All right, guys. Very cool. So I think we're done for today. I know that's a lot, but it's awesome that we're done. Just my beautiful wife, Julia, and peace.